Hey everyone, I'm Dark Quoter, and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. Now, last time, these two, Shizune and Misha, seemed like they were trying pretty hard to get me to join the student council. And I'm not buying it yet. So, let's see what they do now. ... Okay, Hee-chan. How about Risk? The game of world domination. I don't know what that is. It's really fun, Hee-chan. You fight for control of the world with armies and everything. Sounds like Shizune would be good at it. If you want to play, we can after school. ... Oh, really, Shi-chan? We can play just for fun, Hee-chan. Shi-chan hasn't played in a long time, so if you want to, there are no strings attached. Well, okay. Okay, perfect. We'll see you after school in the student council room, then, Hee-chan. Why there? Because that's where we keep the game. Wahahaha. I'm thinking Misha's got something up her sleeve. Either that or Shizune, or both of them. Something's kinda fishy here. I grimace to tell them how much I do not like this, but it's more for show than anything. So in the end I agree, but only after getting Shizune to acknowledge that I don't mean anything concrete just by accepting to take a look around and play a game with her. Lunch ends and we go back to class. Oh, there's that girl again. During afternoon classes, the long-haired girl comes back and sits down in her seat without a word. Again, no one seems to notice, or if they do, no one says anything. I want to ask Misha about it, but I don't want to be nosy. After school, Shizune and Misha quickly find me by the first floor lobby and latch onto me, covering each flank in case I might try to escape. I feel a little offended, but I'd been considering it. Nevertheless, I'm a bit disturbed that enough people have made a break for it in the past that they're on their guard. What's with the escort? This does make me feel very comfortable. In fact, it makes me feel like a dangerous prisoner being transported to his cell. Wahaha! What's wrong, Hee-chan? ... That's right. We're just going to play a game of Risk, remember? I don't know, Misha. This all seems a little sinister to me. I start thinking that when we sit down to play the game, they'll tie me down and torture me until I agree to join the student council. That might be it. Well, it's highly unlikely, but still. For some reason, it just seems like it would be so plausible. With these two, I wouldn't put it past them. Getting to the student council room is as simple as turning 2 corners from where we started. What? Let's eat. This makes you guys being so on top of me seem a little silly. ... That's not true, Hee-chan. Shi-chan says that when their life is threatened, people have shown the capability to pull off superhuman bursts of speed. Life is threatened. Her expression unchanging, Misha signs something amusedly to Shizune, who makes a baffling face and puts her hands behind her back, looking pleased with herself. So that's a baffling face, is it? Misha feigns deafness and hums cheerily. Stop that. I know you heard me. You have no excuse, unlike Shizune. Shizune opens the door to the student council room. It's a very plain, sparsely decorated room, although it is quite large, maybe even a little larger than a classroom. There's a big table in the center surrounded by chairs, and a smaller desk prominently placed in the back that I assume is Shizune's. There are a few regular desks and chairs stacked to one side as well. Extras, perhaps? Aside from the tables and chairs, the room doesn't have much else to offer. Just a couple of filing cabinets and bookshelves stacked with old school records and documents. Not much else. In fact, nothing else. This is a pretty bleak room. They could at least put a potted plant in here or something, but the most noticeable thing that this room doesn't have is other people. Don't tell me those two are the only members of the student council. Are we early? ... Dot dot dot. No. What do you mean no? Doesn't mean nobody else is coming today. Dot dot dot. Yeah, that's right. Before I manage to ask why that's the case, Shizune claps her hands together very energetically. Dot dot dot. Ichan, let's play Risk. Come on, you promised, didn't you? You have to. Haha. Okay. Do you want to know the rules? We can explain to you while we set everything up. While Misha is talking, Shizune takes out what looks like a board game from behind one of the filing cabinets and throws it on the table. Actually, this looks kind of interesting. After Misha spends a little too long for her liking running through the basics with a somewhat vague and confusing tutorial, Shizune cuts in and declares the game has started with a decisive motion, slicing her arm through the air. She's looking pretty serious there. Shizune's aggressiveness is rubbing off onto me. I start feeling more competitive than I intended to be when I agreed to this. Halfway into the game, while I try to ponder how to defend against Shizune's assault from two fronts, she breaks my concentration by drumming her fingers on the table to get my attention. Dot dot dot. She-chan wants you to know that you are taking too long to make a move. She-chan also says that she will let you keep Australia if you agree to join the student council. I thought this was a game with no strings attached. Just the fact that she would dangle that over my head as an offer means that she knows I care about the outcome of this game. And anyway, no. Dot dot dot. She-chan admires your fighting spirit and would be a benevolent dictator who will spare your people if you agree to join the student council. Ha ha ha. You're so competitive, Shizune. She seems to take this as a compliment. I would expect the student council president to be a little more magnanimous. Magnanimous? She doesn't seem to know what the word means or how it's signed, so she pulls out a piece of paper and writes it for Shizune, who in return signs it back to Misha. Misha presses her index fingers across against her temples, as if trying to physically imprint the word into her memory. Dot dot dot. Suddenly, Shizune bursts into a flurry of gestures. Misha looks daunted by the pace of her heated signing. Wait, please slow down, She-chan. He-chan? She-chan says you're going to lose. Tell her I will crush her world empire with my rebellion. Okay. Oh, look at that face. Those eyes of hers shine with childlike mischief. Dot dot dot. She says you have no chance if you keep playing like this. No, you won't. I have a choice here. It's a trap. It's smarter to play defensively here. She has a point. Attack aggressively. As smart as Shizune is, I'm thinking she's trying to bait me into attacking, so I'm gonna play defensive. It's likely that she's just trying to psych me out. Yeah. Although it's also possible that she's getting to win no matter what. She knows this game, after all. Looking at the board again, I have a pretty good defense setup, and I'm not going to wreck it doing something reckless. A few turns later, I lose the game anyway. Shizune adjusts her glasses victoriously and allows herself to tentatively pump a fist in the air in celebration. Dot dot dot. Wahaha! He-chan, you lost when you allowed me to take North America. I mean, She-chan, not me. Dot dot dot. Getting control of North America is ambitious because it provides a 5 iron bonus, but you can attack it from 3 fronts, so you must defend them all. Dot dot dot. I thought you'd have more guts. How disappointing. Ambition, He-chan. Your play needs to be more daring. Ambition, ambition. Dot dot dot. I was really excited when you took South America, but then you switched to playing defensively just because you gained a small advantage. That's no good, He-chan. You didn't take enough risks, and when you did, you didn't follow through. That's terrible, He-chan. Damn, what's it to her if I played too carefully? There's no need to rub it in my face. And she looks really disappointed. Whoa, she's getting closer. Dot dot dot. I wonder if you'd even be any good for the student council. What's this, reverse psychology? Oh, I guess I don't have to worry about joining or not in that case. Dot dot dot. Giving up just like that? I expect more of you. Seriously, is Shizune trying to taunt me into joining the council? Besides, I don't even want to join. It's only my second day, I can't make that kind of commitment. I haven't even taken a look at any other clubs yet, and these two, they're a little weird. Fine, I'll consider joining the council, but I want to take a look at the clubs before I decide. Really, Hee-chan? You're not just saying that to make us feel better? Yeah, I'm just not sure what I want to do. Not sure that I want to. Oh. Dot dot dot. Okay, Hee-chan, but we're not going to give up so easily. You said maybe. There's still a chance you'll come around. Dot dot dot. Come on, we could really have fun. We could play more Risk and maybe one day you could beat me, unless we graduate before that. That doesn't make me feel any less reluctant to about joining, you know. I cannot talk. Dot dot dot. Wahaha. Surely you're not that horrible at board games. Maybe we can play a game you know then, to give you a handicap. I might have said that just to make you feel better after all. Oh, that's cold, Hee-chan. I take a glance at the clock on the wall and realize I've spent far longer playing Risk than I expected. Sorry, I think I have to go. I wanted to go to the library. It's not closed yet, is it? Shizune scratches her head and gestures at Misha. How hard can it be to determine whether the library is open? There's a clock right there on the wall. Dot dot dot. It should be, unless the librarian is absent. I think you're right, Hee-chan. We think the library is open. It's on the second floor, can't miss it. You want us to show you where it is? No, thanks, it's okay. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. One flight of stairs up and I run into problems. The second floor hallway is a carbon copy of the third floor one. Wide, of course, and plain, like only hallways can be. The problem is that the library's whereabouts are not as easily determined as one would think. The classrooms are marked with signs stating which class they belong to, but then there's a plethora of other unmarked rooms. Is the library one of them, or is it just somewhere down the hallway? I bet on the latter and choose my direction at random. After I turn around the corner, an unmarked door draws my attention because it's not closed. It's not open either, though, just barely ajar so that I can see it's open and nothing else. It would make sense for the library door to be invitingly open, and while this one is not quite that, it's good enough. At the very least, it means that someone is inside and I can ask for directions, no matter how embarrassing that is. I gingerly push on the center of the door with my fingertips, every muscle in my arm ready to pull back at a moment's notice. The feeling of being an outsider to the school can't be shaken from my mind, so much so that I instinctively fear doing something wrong by entering. The door slowly creaks as if groaning from a deep sleep, though it is much easier to open than I had anticipated. Leaning over, poking my head even further inside to gain sight of the room as fast as possible, a meek hello on my lips is quickly snatched away. What is this? This is not as I was expecting. I mindlessly let the door open to its full extent, taking in the sight of the solitary figure taking center stage in the otherwise abandoned room. The situation steals my voice, leaving me standing at the doorway staring at the beautiful girl. Evidently having taken her time to assess the situation, the girl gently puts down her teacup and opens her eyes, but doesn't look at me. Now what kind of voice does she have? Hello there, may I help you? Staring directly in front of herself, the movements of her lips seem to break the silence rather than the words. However, it's a soft, measured voice that reminds me she's being separate from the room itself. Must be blind. Not only is she likely the tallest girl I've ever laid eyes on, but even among the foreigners I've met, she's strikingly distinct. I almost said distant. Hi. Sorry for intruding, I was just kinda lost. She takes a moment to formulate a response before speaking. Every action she takes feels as if it's carefully choreographed beforehand. Got to take a seat. Unexpected, considering that I'm intruding upon her. Thanks. I slowly step towards another seat opposite her, the girl resting the teacup and saucer on the wooden table in between. The way she doesn't track my movements with her head is telling. That and the slight cloudiness in her eyes means she must be at least partially blind, like Kenji. And to think of it, her voice doesn't have any detectable accent either. I guess she must be half Japanese. As I take my seat, her composure takes me slightly off guard. Her air of relaxed confidence makes the silence entirely comfortable. The calming atmosphere is so very different from the student council office. I take it you're a new student to Yamaku. Yeah. I just transferred in yesterday. I get the distinct feeling my speech patterns don't match the formality of hers, accentuated by her restrained bow of greeting. One which I hasten to match before realizing the futility of the action. I'm Lily Satao. Pleased to meet you. Asao Nakai. She gives a nod before gesturing roughly in the direction of her teacup. Would you care for a drink? Sure. As much as it pains me, I can't keep step with the formality and the proceedings. She gives a kind nod, taking the request in stride. Without another word, she steps off the chair and prepares a second cup of tea from a collection of supplies laid out along a shelf. A brush here, a brush there, her left hand often lightly touching the side of whichever container she's pouring into. It seems to be a process she's followed dozens of times before. As I lean sideways to see around her back, she seems to use her long, dainty finger to measure the right amount of water in the cup. It's one thing to see the different disabilities the students in my class have, but it's quite another to see how everyone seems to adapt. Shizune and Misha have no problem working together to communicate to me, and Lily herself seems to have workarounds for problems I'd never thought of. While I feel slightly guilty about her doing the work, she seems pleased to be following the correct process of the offer of preparing the drink. So, her soft voice brings me out of my silent observance. Which room were you looking for? It's not often this classroom is visited after school. The school library. Shizune and some classmates told me it was on this floor. She finishes pouring water into the teacup as she nods, a small metallic tapping coming from the teacup indicating it being stirred. I'm aware of Miss Hakamichi, as are most students. To be with them means you're in class 3-3, no? That's right, in the science room with Motu. He gives a slight giggle before setting down the teaspoon and slowly walking towards the table, teacup and saucer in hand. He's quite a character. I imagine you'll come to like him. Most do. Alright, I think I've been recording this for long enough today. So what I'd like to do is stop here and then continue it next time. And I think I'd like to try to do a new thing here at the end. Kind of do the whole YouTube thing, I guess. Still kind of getting used to it. Basically, if you like watching this, don't be afraid to like it, or comment, or subscribe, or do whatever you want to do. I trust you guys to know whatever you feel like doing. And catch me next time on Katawa Shoujo.